Hey there. In the boardroom, I might be the president, but in my living room, I'm the person who left the laundry in the washer again. I've worked with leaders managing billion-dollar portfolios, people who run massive teams, make decisions that ripple across industries, but at home, they can't figure out the TV remote or remember where the dog leash is. It's funny, right? But here's what can happen. When your entire identity is built around your role at work, you start expecting that authority, that influence, that recognition to carry over into every other part of your life. And guess what? Nobody outside of work really cares. And this can start to become quite confusing. But here's the real trap. The higher you climb at work, the more distorted your sense of importance can actually become. Why? Because you start mistaking your role respect for personal identity. And there's a name for this in leadership psychology. It's called
Power Contamination.
It's when people begin to believe that the power they hold in one domain of life, at work, applies universally. At work, people listen to you. They laugh at your jokes. They pretend your PowerPoint slide transitions are exciting. But that's contextual. It's about the position, not the person. And there's a great way that we can balance this and some very good reasons that we would want to do so too. The more your identity is fused with your job, the more likely you're to take a work setback thinking that it will affect your whole life and that your whole life is falling apart. But if you've cultivated multiple roles, artist, caregiver, mountain biker, amateur, ukulele player, then your whole self isn't dragged down with one role. You also learn that you don't have all the control, power, and prestige all the time. Our in real life persona needs that space. Your dog just doesn't care that you have 6 direct reports, and your partner certainly doesn't want a post-mortem on your car purchase. Now, this isn't about diminishing your professional self. It's about expanding the other selves and keeping it in balance with perspective. Because if you're only good at being the boss, what happens when you're not the boss anymore? When you retire, if you get laid off, or there's a job restructuring, or you just take a week off to go camping with people who think OKRs is a band name. Here's the growth move. You need to develop roles in your personal life, just like you develop skills in your career. Be a student again. Be a hobbyist. Be someone who makes bad art on purpose. Because the true measure of leadership isn't what happens when you're in charge. It's how you show up when you're not. Let's bring some science in here. Psychologists have long emphasized the value of identity diversification, spreading your sense of self across multiple life domains. Also, being able to see that you have many roles in your life, not just the one tied to a title at work, is a really helpful perspective. Adam Grant, author of Think Again and most recently Hidden Potential, has discussed how over-identifying with work makes us more vulnerable to setbacks. The idea is pretty simple. If your sense of self is spread across multiple domains, work, family, community, creativity, you're more resilient. When one part struggles, the others can still thrive. And here's what we can also take away from Dr. Marty Seligman's research in his book, Learned Optimism. When something goes wrong at work and we're very identified with our role and feel threatened, our brain often interprets it using what he called the 3 Ps of pessimism. Permanent, this will never get better. Pervasive, this ruins everything. And personal, this is all my fault. With some space, though, in recognizing our other roles, and also that we don't have all the power and all the control all the time, we can start to see it this way. Not permanent, because, by the way, nothing ever is. Not pervasive, this is just at work and has nothing to do with me taking the dog for a walk. And also, not personal. Who hasn't had a challenge at work or lost their job? We have a lot more range in our life. Now, let's be real. There's also a part of us that needs to care about work, not just for the fulfillment, but because that's how we probably pay the bills. And that part, it deserves respect too. Wanting financial stability doesn't make you shallow, it makes you responsible. But when the only way you think you can contribute or find meaning, feel a sense of achievement, and enjoy positive relationships is through your job title and work, you're selling yourself really short. Psychologically, we're wired for meaning. We want to contribute to something bigger than ourselves. And sure, work can absolutely be one way that we do that, but it's not the only way. You can build that same sense of purpose through community, creativity, mentorship, activism, or even small, quiet roles, like making someone laugh, or growing tomatoes, or walking your elderly neighbor's dog. Those might not show up on your LinkedIn profile, but they sure show up in your humanity. But if you put all your eggs in the career basket, you're one reorg away from an existential crisis. So here's a question for you. Who are you when no one's clapping? Who are you when no one's watching? And who are you when you're not in charge? If your answer is cranky, bored, and lost, that's okay. It just means it's time to grow those parts of you too. So start here. Write down 3 roles you play outside of your job. No titles, not achievements, just straight up roles like friend, dog mom, Sunday sauce chef, book club clown, whatever. Then ask, how do I nourish that role? How do I take care of it? Your leadership title is one thread in your story, and it's a fun one, but it's not the whole tapestry. Build the kind of life where losing the job doesn't mean losing your identity, or coming home isn't a demotion. It's a reminder of who you really are. So the next time you're in the living room and someone asks you to take out the trash instead of run a meeting, say yes, and do it like the boss of your whole life. Hit me below in the comments and let me know how work identity and your other roles in life show up for you. I'd love to learn more about it and hear from you too. Hit subscribe to get more great stuff on how to thrive in the 9 to 5 and beyond. Happy thriving!